So today we're going to look at something pretty interesting. The connection between art and mindfulness.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and the source material we're using is an article from Irish Art Mart called Art as a Gateway to Mindfulness, Simple Exercises for Beginners. And you might be thinking, like, well, I'm no artist, but you know what? It doesn't even matter if you have zero artistic talent.
Right.
We can all benefit from this stuff. This is about how even just simple art practices can boost your well-being.
Like just basic things can really help.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
So the article starts out with this idea that both art and mindfulness,
It makes sense when you think about it.
they share a goal. They both try to bring us into the present moment.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm drawing or painting,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think about anything else. I'm just focused on what I'm doing right then.
It's like that for me when I'm playing music, but the article actually says when you're creating, you're fully immersed. Each brushstroke, each color choice, it quiets the mind. It's
Right.
like you're not even trying to be mindful. You just kind of are.
Exactly. You get so absorbed in the process that everything else just fades away.
It's interesting.
And that's a really valuable thing,
For sure.
especially these days, when everyone's so stressed and busy.
Yeah, it's like a mini vacation for your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, let's get into some of the specific benefits
Okay.
that the article talks about, like stress reduction, for one.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, so the idea is that art gives us a healthy outlet to express our emotions.
Yeah, it's like if you're feeling angry or frustrated, you can just channel all that energy into your art.
Yeah.
And it's like it helps you to release it.
Instead of just keeping it bottled up inside.
Exactly.
Like I know a lot of therapists use art therapy with their clients to help them cope with stress and trauma. It's really effective.
I can see that.
Yeah. And then another benefit is improved focus. Because when you're engaged in a creative activity, you have to be present in the moment. You can't really be thinking about a million other things at the same time. Like when I'm drawing, I have to focus on my hand movements, on the colors I'm using, on the shapes I'm creating.
And that can actually help to train your mind to stay focused,
Mm-hmm.
even when you're not doing art.
Exactly. It's like a workout for your attention span.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and then there's also emotional release, which we kind of touched on before.
Yeah.
But the article talks about how art can provide a safe space to explore and process our emotions.
Like a visual journal
Yeah,
where you can express things that you might not be able to put into words.
exactly. And sometimes just the act of getting those emotions out can be really cathartic.
Yeah, for sure. Like sometimes I'll be feeling really down and I'll just start painting. And I don't even know what I'm going to paint. I just let my feelings guide me. And afterwards, I always feel so much better, like lighter somehow.
Like a weight's been lifted.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then another benefit is enhanced creativity.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Because when we're in a mindful state,
Present in the moment.
we're more open to new ideas. And we're less likely to judge ourselves.
Yeah, it's like when you're not worried about making mistakes, you're more free to experiment and to try new things.
And that's where the real creativity comes from, when you're not afraid to take risks.
Exactly.
And then finally, the article talks about how regular art practice can actually contribute to better mental health overall. Like it can help to reduce anxiety, improve mood,
I can see that.
boost self-esteem.
It makes sense when you think about all the other benefits we've talked about, like stress reduction
Yeah.
and emotional release
Hmm.
and improved focus. All of those things can have a positive impact on your mental health.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, let's dive into some of the specific exercises that the article outlines. The first one is called breath and brush.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. You synchronize your brush strokes with your breath. So you inhale as you lift the brush, and you exhale as you paint.
Oh, wow. That sounds really relaxing.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, just thinking about it makes me feel calmer.
It's like a moving meditation.
Right. And what's cool about that is the deep breathing actually has a physiological effect on your body.
Oh, yeah.
It triggers something called the parasympathetic nervous system,
Okay.
which slows your heart rate, lowers your blood pressure, basically tells your body to chill out.
So it's like double the relaxation.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got the art itself, and then you've got the deep breathing. It's a powerful combination.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
So the next exercise is called mindful doodling. Now, I'm always doodling in meetings.
Me too.
But apparently there's a mindful way to do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So with mindful doodling, it's not about the end product.
Oh,
You're not trying to draw something specific. It's more about just letting go of judgment
right.
and focusing on the physical sensations of your hand, moving the
Yes.
texture of the paper, the pressure of the pen.
So it's like a meditation on the act of drawing itself.
Exactly. And it can actually be really calming.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's like when I get absorbed in knitting, it's just a very soothing, repetitive motion.
Right. And you know, it's interesting because mindful doodling actually engages different parts of your brain.
Really?
Yeah. Areas associated with creativity, problem solving, even memory.
Wow. So it's like a mini workout for your mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So those doodles might actually be making you smarter.
That's awesome. I'm going to tell my boss that.
You should.
So the next exercise is called color exploration. And this is all about connecting with your emotions through color.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you choose colors based on how you're feeling,
Okay.
and then you just let yourself apply them to the paper. No rules, just pure expression.
That sounds really freeing.
It is.
I love that.
And there's actually a whole psychology of color.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like warm colors, reds, oranges, yellows. They tend to evoke feelings of energy and excitement.
Yeah.
While cool colors, blues, greens, purples, they can feel more calming and soothing.
That's so true. Like when I'm feeling stressed, I always find myself gravitating towards blues and greens.
Me too. It's like my subconscious is trying to tell me something.
Right.
Okay, so what are a couple of other exercises the article mentions?
So, well, one that I thought was really cool is called Nature Mandalas.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
It involves collecting natural materials like leaves, twigs, stones, anything that catches your eye, and then arranging them into a circular mandala pattern.
Oh, wow. So you're bringing the outdoors inside?
Exactly.
I love that.
And you know, being in nature is so good for us.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It lowers our stress hormones, improves our mood, even boosts cognitive function.
Yeah, I always feel so much calmer after a walk in the woods.
Me too. It's like it resets my whole system.
So this exercise is combining the benefits of being in nature with the meditative practice of creating mandalas.
Yeah, it's like a double dose of goodness.
I like it.
I'm definitely going to try that one.
Me too. Okay, and then the last exercise is called gratitude journaling with art.
Oh, that sounds nice.
Yeah, so this one combines the proven benefits of gratitude journaling with visual expression. So you basically write down things you're grateful for, and then you create a small drawing or painting, or you just use colors to visually represent those feelings.
I like it.
It's like a multi-sensory gratitude experience.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, the act of reflecting on what we're grateful for can actually rewire our brains to focus on the positive,
Right.
which can have a ripple effect on our overall well-being.
Yeah, it's like you're training your brain to look for the good
Exactly.
instead of dwelling on the negative.
Yeah, I love that.
So we've covered some really cool exercises, but how do we actually make this a part of our lives? Like the article had some practical tips, right?
Yeah, it did.
What were some of those?
Well, one of the most important things is to just start small.
Okay.
You don't need to carve out hours of your day.
Right.
Even 5 minutes of mindful doodling or color exploration can make a difference.
Something to know.
Yeah. Consistency is key.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part for me, just making it a regular habit.
Yeah, I struggle with that too.
It's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of life.
Right, and to let those things fall by the wayside.
Yeah, but I think if we can just make it a priority,
Even just for a few minutes each day.
it's worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Another helpful tip from the article was to create a dedicated space for art making, even if it's just a corner of your desk or a tray of supplies. Having a designated area can really help to signal to your brain that it's time to switch gears
Oh, yeah.
and tap into your creativity.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Like it's setting the stage for mindfulness.
Exactly.
And then what about technology? The article mentioned something about using technology mindfully, right?
Yeah, they said there are so many apps and online resources these days that could be really helpful for art and mindfulness.
Like what kind of things?
Like guided art meditations,
Yeah.
online tutorials, virtual art communities.
Oh, yeah.
So it's about using technology as a tool to enhance your practice.
Instead of letting it distract you,
Exactly.
which can be hard.
Ooh.
It's so easy to get sucked into the endless scroll. But I think it's important to be mindful of how we're using technology.
Yeah, and to make sure that it's serving us rather than the other way around.
So to recap, we've got some great takeaways for integrating mindful art into our lives. Start small. Create a space. Use tech wisely.
And don't be afraid to experiment.
Right?
Find what works for you. and have fun with it.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Exactly.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to continue our deep dive into art and mindfulness. Don't go anywhere.
So welcome back to our deep dive into art and mindfulness. We've been talking about how creative expression can actually help us to be more present and to find a sense of peace.
Yeah, and it's been really fascinating so far. I'm learning a lot.
Me too.
Like, I never realized how much power there is in just simple art practices to, like, really boost our well-being.
It's amazing, right?
So before the break, we were starting to talk about some practical tips for integrating mindful art into our daily lives.
Oh, yeah.
Can we get back to that?
Sure, yeah. One of the things that really stood out to me was the idea of creating a dedicated space for art making. Like, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just a corner of your desk or a shelf with your favorite supplies.
Right.
Or even just a cozy spot on the floor where you can spread out and feel inspired.
Yeah, I love that. Like, having a designated art space
Yeah.
can really help to signal to your brain that it's time to shift gears
Yeah.
and tap into your creativity.
Exactly.
It's like creating a sanctuary for your inner artist.
I like that.
And what about technology? The article mentioned something about using technology mindfully in relation to art and mindfulness.
Oh, yeah, for sure. There are so many apps and online resources these days,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
like guided art meditations and online tutorials, and virtual art communities where you can connect with other creative people.
Yeah, it's amazing how much is out there. But it's important to use technology in a way that supports our well-being
Yeah.
and doesn't distract us from being present.
Right.
Like, it's so easy to get caught up in the endless scroll and to let technology take over our lives.
It really is.
But I think if we can be mindful of how we're using it,
Like setting limits and being intentional.
technology can actually be a really valuable tool for art and mindfulness.
Absolutely.
So I've actually been experimenting with a few art journaling apps lately, and I found them to be surprisingly helpful. It's like having a portable art studio right in my pocket.
That's cool.
Yeah, and the article also mentions something about the benefits of joining an art group or workshop.
Oh, yeah. There's something really powerful about sharing our creative journey with others.
I agree. I've taken a few pottery classes in the past,
Yeah.
and it was amazing to be surrounded by other people who were also exploring their creativity. It created such a sense of camaraderie and support.
Yeah, it's like a collective creative energy
Yeah.
that lifts everyone up.
Exactly. And sometimes just witnessing someone else's creative process can spark new ideas and insights in our own work.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I've definitely had those moments where
Yeah.
I've been inspired by something that someone else has created.
Yeah, me too. So to recap, we've got some great takeaways for making mindful art a part of our lives. Create a dedicated art space. Use technology intentionally to support your practice, and consider joining a community of like-minded individuals.
And remember, it's not about trying to become a professional artist overnight. It's about finding joy and presence in the process of creation.
I love that.
Yeah.
So what small act of creative expression could you incorporate into your day-to-day?
That's a good question. I think I'm going to try that Nature Mandalas exercise. That sounds really fun.
Yeah, it does.
All right, so we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll be back to wrap up our discussion and explore some final thoughts on art and mindfulness. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into art and mindfulness.
You know, one of the things that's really stuck with me is this idea of art as a way to, like, process emotions. You know, instead of bottling things up,
Yeah,
we can express them through art,
for sure.
like using colors, shapes, textures, whatever feels right.
Whatever speaks to you. Yeah,
It's like giving those emotions a physical form.
right. It's like you're getting them out of your head and onto the canvas or the page.
Yeah, and the article talked a lot about approaching art with a non-judgmental mindset,
Yeah,
which I think is so important.
absolutely. It's like mindfulness in general. You know,
Right.
you're not trying to judge your thoughts or feelings. You're just observing them.
Right. And when you apply that to art, it's like you're not worried about whether it's good or bad. You're just letting yourself create.
Exactly. It's about the process, not the product.
It reminds me of something a musician friend once told me. He said when he's really in the zone, he's not even thinking about the notes. He's just feeling the music.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's what they call flow state.
Flow state.
Yeah, it's that state of complete absorption where you lose track of time
Mm.
and you're just completely immersed in what you're doing.
Oh, yeah. I have definitely experienced that before.
Yeah, it's like everything just clicks.
And the article said that flow states are linked to all sorts of benefits, like increased creativity and productivity, and even happiness.
Yeah, for sure. It's like a superpower.
So it sounds like mindful art is a good way to tap into that flow state.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, it's funny. I've always loved art, but I never thought about it in this way before.
I know, me too.
It's like this whole new world has opened up.
Exciting, right? Mm-hmm.
And it's so accessible.
Yeah.
You don't need any special skills or training.
Nope. All you need is a willingness to explore and an open mind.
And we've got all these great exercises to try from the article. Breath and brush, mindful doodling, color exploration, Nature Mandalas, gratitude journaling with art.
So many options.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And the best part is, there's no right or wrong way to do it.
Right.
It's all about finding what works for you.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's one piece of advice you would give to our listeners?
I would say just start.
Just start.
Yeah, don't overthink it. Just pick one of the exercises that sounds interesting to you. Set aside 5 minutes and see what happens.
I love that. Simple, actionable, and empowering. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into art and mindfulness.
It's been a pleasure.
I hope you've all been inspired to tap into your own creativity and to find those moments of peace and presence in your everyday lives.
Until next time.
Keep diving deep.